against other key industry players, Mr. Speaker, sir. Part B, Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a comprehensive account of all support, including government bailouts and loans from Export-Import Bank of the United States of America, extended to Kenya Airways over the last 10 years, highlighting the respective amounts received and the purposes for which the support was extended? Number C, Mr. Speaker, sir, which foreign consultancy firms have been engaged by the KQ in the last 10 years to revitalize the airline, and could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the respective amounts paid to each, as well as provide an overview of the recommendations made by the firms, Mr. Speaker, sir? Finally, D, what was the rationale behind the decision of KQ to ground Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, registered as 5Y KZJ, another Boeing 737-700, registered as 5Y KQH, KQH and KQG, that is 787-8, and could the Cabinet Secretary also explain why the option of converting this aircraft to cargo planes was not pursued, and identify the authority that approved the removal of parts from this aircraft? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Just by way of introduction, Mr. Speaker, I hope this is the last time I'll answer questions about Kenya Airways, because it's our intention to return Kenya Airways to a private company so that the government of Kenya cannot continue subsidizing Kenya Airways, and therefore the public do not have a stake for us to come and answer questions about private companies in Parliament. So our effort in the Manifesto of Kenya Kwanza to make sure that we offload all the shares that the government owns in the Kenya Airways, so that we return it to a profitable private company that will not require the subsidies that we have had to subsidize, and converted if we convert the debt that they owe to the government of Kenya into equity, it increases their shareholding. So hopefully our manifesto objectives of getting a strategic investor will make it the last time we are discussing Kenya Airways. Mr. Speaker, as captured in the table below, and I'm sure the Honourable Senator has an answer, the submitted statement in good time. As captured in the table below, the Ministry through Kenya Airways reported an operating profit in the first half of financial year 2023, a milestone that it hadn't reached in the previous 6 years. The airline has made a significant 120% improvement, reporting an operating profit of 998 million compared to the same period in the previous year, where there was a reported loss of 5 billion. The table number 10 will explain. The growth was fueled by the 56% increase in group revenue, reaching an impressive 75 billion. Additionally, our passenger numbers surged 2.3 million, an impressive 43% growth from 1.6 million. And our earnings before interest, tax and depreciation and amortization and rent costs witnessed a commendable upswing of 7 points. Our gross profit improved by an impressive 131%, resulting in these commendable outcomes. We acknowledge that our legacy debt did bring down the impressive operating results, primarily to the huge forex losses because of the depreciation of the Kenya shillings against the dollar. These forex losses were primarily due to the re-evaluation of the US dollar denomination loans and liabilities. These finance charges in total amount of 22 billion, and therefore heavily impacted our overall results. Mr. Speaker, the airline industry is highly competitive, and therefore profit margins in the industry are thin. According to the International Airport Transport Association, IATA, the average net profit margin for the global airline industry is typically less than 5%. An overview of airline profitability compared to other industries is captured below. Vulnerability to external factors. Airlines are highly vulnerable to external factors that can impact the profitability, including fluctuations in fuel prices, currency devaluations, supply chain challenges, and geopolitical events. Capital intensity. Airlines require significant capital investment in aircraft maintenance and infrastructure, which can limit their profitability. This unlike other businesses that do not have the same level of capital intensity. Cynicality. The airline industry is cynical and can be sensitive to economic cycles. During economic downturns, demand for air travel may decline, affecting airline profitability. Regulation. Airlines are subject to extensive regulation, including safety and security requirements, which can add operational costs. Competition. The airline industry is highly competitive, with many players operating in the market. Competition can lead to price wars and reduced profit margins. Operational challenges. Airlines face operational challenges, including maintenance, scheduling, and workforce management, which can impact cost and profitability. Pricing strategy. Airlines often use dynamic pricing strategy that can affect their profit margins. Prices for air tickets can vary widely based on factors like demand, time of booking, and seat class. In summary, Honorable Speaker, while airlines provide essential transportation services, their profit margins are typically lower compared to many other industries, and their profitability is subject to a range of external factors and competitive pressure. Additionally, IATA indicates that the global airline industry is expected to return to profitability in 2024, but financial performance across regions remain diverse. The industry financials are improving in all regions from the COVID-related depths of 2020, although not all regions are expected to deliver a profit this year. Africa remains a difficult market in which to operate an airline, with economic infrastructure and connectivity challenges impacting the industry performance. Nonetheless, despite the challenges, there is still robust demand for air travel in the region, which underpins the continued move towards return to overall industry profitability. Kenya Airways' current performance for financial year 2024 projections are predicated on this forecast, and Kenya Airways targets to return to profitability in financial year 2024 as depicted in the table below. Mr. Speaker, the table below shows also the loans acquired by Kenya Airways, and I'm sure the Honourable Senator can read from the GOK loans. You can see what we've been giving Kenya Airways, including the 10 billion we gave as soon as the government came to office. I wish to inform the House that Kenya Airways was not the only recipient of the government assistance, specifically to cope with the negative impact of COVID-19. Various governments in Africa and outside Africa have provided direct support to the airlines. They include Senegal, $128 million, relief package for its tourism and air transport sector. Seychelles waived all landing and parking fees for the period from April to December 2020, and Cote d'Ivoire waived in tourism tax for transit passengers. In addition, other governments that provided fiscal support to their travel and tourism sectors are shown below. From Egypt to Ghana to Zambia to Cameroon, we've given that list. Technically, it is worth noting that KQ has no loan facility from the Export-Import Bank of the United States of America. The U.S. Exim Bank is a guarantor of a facility of $841.6 million to procure 6 787 aircraft on one 777-300 range aircraft and one Jenks engine. This is 90% of the total facility of the $924 million provided by Citibank and JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA. Mr. Speaker, table below gives a detailed overview of the firms contracted to provide services. Mackenzie, Mr. Speaker, operational support in Project Safari.
Just pause a bit. What is your intervention, Senator for Nandi?
Mr. Speaker, since I have the answer and I've gone through it, to assist the House to move fast. Okay. If members want to hear.
The response has been circulated to honorable senators.
Yes, that is what I wanted, to assist the House to move fast, Mr. Speaker, sir. Would it be in order I ask my 2 supplementary questions so that we make progress as a House? Would that be better?
You will proceed to ask question number 12, number 13, and thereafter you will...
So I asked the four supplementary
Yes.
question. Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, since you have given guidance, so let me
say, Mr. Speaker, for the record, I think it's important for the Hansard. You just say that in terms of the farms contracted, I just read the farms. I don't need to read what they do.
Okay.
Mackenzie was contracted in 2015.
If you can paraphrase...
I don't need to paraphrase the rest, Mr. Speaker. I just read the names.
Great.
Proceed, the farms contracted are 3. Mr. Speaker, for 2015 to 2016 is Mackenzie. For 2016, PJT Partners. And 2020, Seabury. I think that is all I can say, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. No. Mr. Speaker, there is an important answer, if I may, with your permission, that I'm sure even the public will be very happy to know. That's the last only one paragraph that is related to the grounded airlines.
Senator Sifuna, what is your intervention? Certainly it cannot be a point.
Mr. Speaker, you know the CS insisted on giving us the name of the contractors. But my document says McKinsey. Yes, it says McKinsey here, Mr. Speaker, on the document. He has told us Mackenzie. I don't know if they are the same.
Honorable CS, can you clarify that?
Mr. Speaker, let me just refer back to the document. Yes, correct, it's McKinsey. Thank you, it's McKinsey. Because there is another farm called Mackenzie. So that's where the... No, not the person. There's a farm called Mackenzie. Mr. Speaker, let me just... Mr. Speaker, I just want to read this statement regarding, there have been public debate about a plane that we donated, so it's important to read it for the record. KQ has not grounded any aircraft, 5YKZJ, which is as Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Took some time undergoing heavy maintenance because of unavailability of many essential and critical components parts in the aircraft market. These shortages are well published in the industry. 5YKQG and 5YKQH are or were 2 Boeing B737-700 aircraft in the KQ fleet under the operating lease arrangement. Upon the end of the lease, the lessors, owners of the aircraft, decommissioned the aircraft. Mr. Speaker, it's important for those who may be new to the industry, is that when some of the planes that are owned or run by airlines are not necessarily owned by the airlines. They are under operating lease. And Mr. Speaker, upon the end of the lease, the lessors themselves decommissioned the aircraft, salvaged valuable components from the 2 aircraft, removed what they thought is important, and transferred what was remained of the aircraft to KQ at 0 cost. The authority to remove parts was probably vested on the lessors being the owners of the aircraft. The 2 aircraft, having been decommissioned and stripped by the owners for parts, had therefore only one viable use as mock-ups in training. So 5YKQG was thus transferred to Kenya Airways Training School, Pride Center, and if you visit it, for use in cabin crew emergency training, practical aviation security training, and in-flight service training as for mock training. As part of its CSR training, KQ donated 5YKQH on as is basis to Mangu High School for their training. Mangu is the only public high school with a well-developed flying school and club, and it provides a pool of skills sets that fits into the KQ workforces. All these were procedurally approved by KQ Board of Directors. The estimate value of these 2 decommissioned aircraft is nothing more than their scrap value. Mr. Speaker, I was in the donation. I was invited to participate in the donation as a chief guest. The students were extremely excited. Mr. Speaker, this was nothing except for scrap value. And if you go to Kitengela, you will find somebody running a restaurant there called 034, with a plane being the restaurant, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't mean that that's a plane which should have been flying cargo. So I think it's also important to make this abundantly clear to the public, because a statement was issued by a member of parliament in the past to say that we were donating a plane that would have brought billions of dollars. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Nandi, proceed to ask question number 12.
Mr. Speaker, I proceed with my supplementary?
No.
Okay.
Question number 12.
Question number 12. Mr. Speaker, sir, question number 012. Question 1. When will the ongoing project for the expansion of Cherargei Airstrip in Kericho County be completed? Number 2, Mr. Speaker, what is the total budgetary allocation for the project, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed breakdown of the expenditures incurred so far? And number C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed assessment of the quality of the works for the project, stating what the government is doing to hold accountable the contractor and any other individuals responsible for any identified lapses? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. Question number 12.
So, Speaker, this is a more straightforward answer, so I'll just read the answers. Mr. Speaker, the request to undertake the refurbishment of Cherargei Airstrip emanated from the National Celebrations Technical Committee during their visit to Kericho on 15th of June 2023 to assess the status of the facility in the county in readiness for the Mashujaa Day following the presidential directive to hold the celebrations in Kericho. Refurbishment of the airstrip involved upgrading the runway to maritime standards and construction of an open steel frame shade to facilitate movement of guests during the celebrations. The works were successfully completed on 18th of October 2023, 2 days before 18th of October 2023. Mr. Speaker, the project total cost to date is 55.4 million shillings, for which 45.4 million is for the clearing, stripping, and grading for the runway, as well as related drainage works, including the construction of an aircraft holding 100 meters by 50 meters apron, and Kenya shillings 10 million for the building of an open steel frame shade. Honorable Speaker, no lapses were experienced during the execution of this project. The work was completed in compliance with the bill of quantities, specifications, and the drawings. The project manager's successive approval were done up until the completion of the works. The ministry is negotiating with the landowners to sell land to Kenya Airports Authority for development of the airstrip. Though the ministry has challenges with the land ownership of the moment, the project will be completed once the land is acquired. The minister has also had full consultation with the leaders of Kericho on this very important matter. Mr. Speaker, just for emphasis, this Cherargei Airstrip land is owned by Eketera, the owners of the T estate. And so even when we developed it, it was in the understanding that we will have to engage them to complete the works. We worked with the Kenya Defense Forces, who are they were actually the contractors to construct the runway to maritime standard, and as you saw, it was useful for the celebrations. Going forward, we intend to acquire at least 50 to, if possible, 100 acres of that land, so that we do a proper airport that will enable agricultural farmers there and people traveling to Kericho and its environs to be able to land in that place and take off from that Kericho. I want to thank the leaders of Kericho, led by the majority leader here, for their support, understanding, and also for the work we are doing together quietly, Mr. Speaker, to acquire the land. The problem with such infrastructure, when you come to Parliament or public and announce that we are looking for land, usually the prices shoot up. It's inflated. The good news is that we are discussing this with already an established investor. So we have made it clear to the investor that land acquisition will be on fairly concessional terms, considering that they are also leaseholders from the government of Kericho County. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Nandi, proceed to ask question number 13.
Mr. Speaker, sir, question number 013, question 1, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on all projects from the construction and upgrade of roads undertaken by national government in Nandi County since 2013, explaining any discrepancies between the contractual and actual dates of completion? But B, Mr. Speaker, what are the reasons for the delay in resuming construction of Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Chomisha, Chemuswa, Chomisia, Danger Road, Timboroa, Maraba, Kopere Road, Mugundoi, Nandi Hills Road, Nandi Hills, Simaki Road, Lesos, Keses, Cheptiret, and Cheptiret to Lone Moi University roads in Nandi County, which have stalled? And could the Cabinet Secretary also outline steps taken by the government to expedite the resumption and completion of these projects, Mr. Speaker, sir? I thank you.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that I'm responding to this question, having given a global picture of the roads in the country. So already I had shared with you the situation in the country, thanks to the question from the Deputy Speaker. So I'll just go straight to the answer. I wish to state that 183 kilometers of roads have been upgraded to bitumen standard, with 2 major bridges constructed to completion in Nandi County since 2013, undertaken by Kenya Rural Roads Authority. Details of the projects are detailed in the annex. Concerning discrepancy between the contractual and actual dates of completion, I wish to state that the ministry has faced financial challenges in the funding, as I earlier indicated, due to inadequate allocation and disbursement from the National Treasury over the years. This has culminated in the accumulation of significant pending bills from certified works. Contractors have consequently been reluctant to complete the works in the affected project, citing non-payment of their dues. The government, through the National Treasury, is working on the mechanism to facilitate significant reduction of our clearing of pending bills in the near future. This will result in the full resumption of completion of affected projects countrywide. Roads under the jurisdiction of Kenya in Nandi County have been managed through performance-based maintenance contracts and routine maintenance contracts, depending on the planned intervention and available resources. The agency is currently managing 10 ongoing maintenance contracts in the county. 9 of the maintenance projects are administered by the Western Region Office, situated in Kakamega. 1 project is administered in the North Rift Regional Office. That's the routine maintenance and support improvement of JN A8 Eldoret Kapsabet Road, which is commenced on 8th March 2024 and is scheduled to end on 4th September 2024 with a contract sum of 38,218,314. The road is 40 kilometers long, but only 22 of it's in Nandi County, i.e. from the Mlango to Chebarbara. Lastly, the roads done under the jurisdiction of the Kenya Urban Roads are indicated in the table below. That is, we are upgrading to bitumen standards the Kamobo Baraton University Road, performance-based routine maintenance of Kapsabet Municipality, Nandi, which are 1, 2, 3, 4 in Kapsabet, and then routine maintenance of package 5 roads in Kapsabet, again 5 and 6, and then upgrading, Mr. Speaker, of Mosoriot Township, 5.3 kilometers. What are the reasons for delay in the resumption of the other roads, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, for the Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Timboroa, Maraba, Kopere Road, this road, Mr. Speaker, when I came to office, is part of the 8 roads that we discussed with the agency and terminated their contract for non-performance because they had been awarded earlier in 2016 and nothing had happened for the entire period. Those roads are in Nandi, Meru, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kisii, Homa Bay and Makueni. They are 8 roads, and I have the tabulation I can share to the House. Mr. Speaker, the project commenced, the one for Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Timbaroa, all these roads, the project commenced in February 2017 and was to be completed in February 2021. The contract has since been mutually terminated due to contractual challenges. To enable timely delivery, the works were split into 2 lots, repackaged and retendered. The contracts were awarded on 14th March 2024 and are expected to be signed within the next 28 days as per the law, upon submission of the requisite securities by the contractors. The contractors will be then mobilized and commence works with immediate effect. On the Chemuswa, Danger, Moi University, the Chemuswa, Danger, the Nandi, Imaki, Lesos, Cheptiret, and the Cheptiret, Moi University roads. These are parts of the ongoing roads, Mr. Speaker, which has faced challenges of completion. The project was originally scheduled for completion in August 2020, long time ago, but this has since been revised to August 2025 due to inadequate budgetary allocation that have led to the contractor being unable to complete the projects due to cash flow challenges. Mr. Speaker, just for the comfort of the other senators who may not have asked a similar question, this is what I told you earlier, that in the entire country, about 60 billion shillings is spending in Kera roads, from Mombasa to Malaba, from Lokichokio to Loitoktok. All of them suffer this kind of consequences, Mr. Speaker. That's why I told you I had to read the global statement so that even those who will ask follow-up questions appreciate that the circumstance under which we are operating is a very poor budgetary allocation. Mr. Speaker, the last part is the Mugundoi Nandi Hills Road was proposed for upgrading to bitumen standards through, though we have been maintaining the road to achieve motorability utilizing 22% of the fuel levy funds. I acknowledge the completion of the Timbaroa, Mateitei, Seko, Kopere Road have faced significant delays due to contractual challenges caused by inadequate budget allocation. The contractor achieved 47 kilometers of tarmac but was unable to complete the total contract at 94 kilometers of roads despite numerous interventions. Consequently, the ministry, in consultation with the Office of the Attorney General, mutually terminated the contract on 28th of August 2023. This paved way for the retendering of the remainder of the works advertised on 27 October 2023. To enable timely delivery, the works were split into 2 lots, repackaged and retendered. The contract was awarded on 14th March 2024 and are expected to be signed in 28 days, as I said earlier. Contractor will be required to mobilize and commence immediately. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Kisumu, proceed to ask question 010.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I go right to ask question number 010. And the question is addressed to the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. Could the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport provide comprehensive data and records on road accidents involving tractors transporting sugarcane from farms to factories in sugarcane growing areas in Kisumu County since 2017? Part 2, how many of these accidents are attributable to unroadworthy tractors and competence of tractor drivers? Third, what is the government doing to strengthen and streamline regular monitoring and enforcement of licensing of tractor drivers as well as the inspection of tractors? And the last part, Mr. Speaker, sir, is what measures are in place to ensure proper maintenance of roads in sugarcane growing areas? And could the Cabinet Secretary state plans to compensate persons affected by road accidents involving these tractors? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the total number of farm tractors presented for post-accident inspection are as tabulated below. In 2020, In 2019, it was 7, 2020, 9, 2021, 9, 2022, 3, 2023, 4, and so far in this year, 1. For the period of 2019 to 2024, the total number of defective tractors were 9. The ministry, through its implementing agency, NTSA, conducts road safety sensitization forums quarterly with cane processing factories operating within the Kisumu County and its environs. These factories include Kibos Sugar and Allied Company Limited in Kisali, West Kenya Sugar Company, Kabras, Chemelil Sugar Company, Muhoroni Sugar Company, and Butali Sugar Mills. Following a meeting of the Kisumu County Transport and Safety Committee held on 5th July 2023, it was noted that most accidents involving cane trucks were due to the following reasons: poor visibility of cane truck drivers on the road, as most trucks lack chevron and proper lighting equipment; failure to observe operating hours. No sugarcane trucks shall be allowed on the road before 6 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Most drivers free wheel, especially when approaching a flyover, to gain momentum to move uphill, resulting in accidents. For example, the Kasagam flyover, where several sugarcane trucks have rolled over due to freewheeling. These facilities have been designed to be navigated at a certain speed. For example, the maximum speed of the Kasagam flyover is 40 kilometers per hour. Thus, a driver going at any speed above the limit is at risk of causing accidents. There is need for drivers to undergo road safety training and defensive driving skills, frequent breakdowns and delays in attending to stalled trucks on highways. In order to address the issue raised about safety matters, the ministry has scheduled sensitization activities on sugar transporters and farmers beginning this month. Proper and secure cane loading on tractor trailers to minimize obstruction, ensure visibility, and prevent spillage on carriageways. Settling and enforcing operating hours for cane collection points from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Additionally, the NTSA conducts free inspection clinics for farm tractors to cane collection points. This is done to ensure tractors are properly mounted retro-reflective chevron. Furthermore, NTSA conducts joint operation with traffic police to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, the NTSA have designated the roads in sugarcane growing areas under performance-based contracts and routine maintenance contracts whose specifications include, but are not limited to the following: clearing any debris on the carriageway, drop-offs from sugarcane trucks, sealing of emerging potholes on the carriageway, desilting road drainage systems on the obstruction, road marking to enhance road safety. That must be Kena. Yeah, sorry, I read that NTSA, but it's Kena actually, Mr. Speaker. Please correct the report accordingly, the document accordingly, Senator Professor Gender. It is supposed to be Kena as designated. Axle loading control to curb loading, pavement strengthening on need-to basis to accommodate sugarcane traffic loading. Roads in Western Kenya region include Kakamega, Kiboswa, Kakamega, Webuye, Kitale, Ekero, Mayoni, Mbwekas, and Ebuyangu, Ekero. Roads in Nyanza region include Ewasi, Nandi Hills, Muhoroni, Fortenan, Awasi, Katito, Awendo, Mariwa, Kilgoris, Rongo, Homa Bay, Ranen, Chamkiwadu to Kenyanya, Rodi, Kopany, Tundiwa, Katiko, Kendu Bay, Homa Bay, and Mamboleo, Kiboswa. Additionally, the ministry through Kenya has conducted stakeholders engagement with sugarcane transporters and interested stakeholders and sensitized them on adherence to acceptable rear top on side of vehicle distance limits when carrying sugarcane as per the Traffic Act guidelines. This aimed at minimizing accidents caused by reduced visibility to other motorists due to improper packaging of sugarcane. Effects of overloading on the carriageway. Procedure of obtaining permits from NTSA under special cases of cane transportation, need for proper packaging for sugarcane on trucks to minimize drop-offs and littering on the carriageway to minimize maintenance cost. Mr. Speaker, this statement is coming at a time when we have unfortunately lost a number of people yesterday and the day before on road accidents, including students of Kenyatta University, and including also the accident that happened in Olengurwani, Silibwet Road, and the other one that happened in Moroni. Mr. Speaker, road accidents is becoming a threat to our national health system. In fact, we were speaking with Honorable Nakumicha, the CS Health, about the impact of such accidents on our health facilities. Mr. Speaker, just let me use this moment, because I've got this opportunity through this August House, to condole with the families that were affected. And number two, Mr. Speaker, to assure the public that the directive that President Uhuru Kenyatta vacated in 2018, that made it impossible for us in the transport sector and NTSA particularly to be on the road to do enforcement, is now revisited. And together with Professor Kindiki in Interior, we will bring back the collaborative effort that required some of the traffic police officers to be seconded to NTSA for proper enforcement. Because, Mr. Speaker, we were left to what you saw me reading here. You know, sensitization, setting the standards. But, Mr. Speaker, even though the Act permits enforcement, on the ground, Mr. Speaker, government decision was made to leave that enforcement only to the traffic police. I believe the new direction will help us to be able to deal with this menace. But last, Mr. Speaker, just to emphasize, even this tractor menace, including driving on the roads, Mr. Speaker, the statistics show that most of the accidents are as a result of drivers' behavior. Mr. Speaker, when I announced last year that the drivers will be retested and that you will not get a certificate, the driving license retested, there was hue and cry. And many people say that we were oppressing drivers. But everybody goes through retesting. Lawyers go through every year through training. Doctors do the same. Mr. Speaker, drivers who are carrying human life should be retested so that we know those who are competent. We test even up to their alcohol content and the drug abuse possibilities among the drivers. These are things that we should support as people of Kenya. The last thing is that as individuals and citizens, Mr. Speaker, citizen responsibility is extremely important. The matatu that got an accident in the Silibwet Road, Olengurwani Silibwet Road, Mr. Speaker, had 24 people, which is 10 people extra. And it was carrying 4 bags of maize. That, Mr. Speaker, by the time the 15th person, the 16th person, the 17th person, the 18th person was boarding that matatu, they knew, of course, that it was overloaded. And, Mr. Speaker, we cannot act as citizens that we are ignorant of the fact that you sit in a car, the driver is drunk or overspeeding or it's already overloaded. We also need to take responsibility ourselves as passengers, but more importantly, those who are sitting behind the wheel. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Bungoma, you may proceed to ask question number 031.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is as follows. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for the rehabilitation and expansion of Luahaha, Chwele, Kimilili, Kamkuyo Road to accommodate the increasing traffic, including heavy trucks plying the route? B, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the progress made in acquiring land for the expansion of the said road, stating the due diligence followed and the timelines for expansion of residents whose land will be acquired for the project? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ministry, through the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, upgraded to bitumen standards the sections of Luakaka, Chwele, Kimilili, Kamkuya Road, namely the Luakaka, Korosiondet, Tulienge, Sirisha, Namuela, Chwele Road, as part of the low-volume seal roads program. And if the senator was to go even further in his question, he will notice that the road is wearing out. It's one of those roads I was talking about, the low-volume seal roads. The 30-kilometer section, which is under Kera, was completed in 2019, providing access to the Oaxaca border point, thereby offering alternative route to Uganda. The completion of the road consequently attracted heavy cross-border traffic, which accelerated its deterioration and raises the need for redesigning and upgrading of the road to commensurate standards that can accommodate the resultant traffic. The proposal for the expansion of the road and its reconstruction, which is projected to include land acquisition due to narrow existing 25-meter corridor, will be forwarded to the National Treasury and presented to Parliament for budgetary consideration alongside other economically significant projects countrywide. The section traversing Kamukuywa, Kimilili, Chwele is currently under rehabilitation works under Kena through hybrid performance-based contract. The scope of the rehabilitation works include road shoulder reinstatement through benching and graveling, reconstruction of base layer and asphalt concrete overlay to selected failed sections, drainage works, including construction of additional access to culverts, lining of side drains, and installation of gabions. Surface dressing to improve on riding surface attrition and seal the carriageway. Road marking and installation, replacement of damaged, vandalized traffic signs. To date, the road shoulders have been reinstated and the current way is free of potholes. The agency is aware of the increased traffic along the route, and that is necessitates pavement structured upgrade and expansion works, which shall be executed upon availability of funds. The land acquisition process for the Kamukuywa Kimilili section and Kimilili Chwele was completed in 1974 by increasing the road reserve to 60 meters and 40 meters respectively. Some market centers have a road reserve of 25 meters, as specified in Gazette number volume this of 46 of 27 of 1974. The ministry is currently not undertaking any land acquisition on the Luakaka, Korosiondet, Tulienge, Sirisha, Namuela, Chwele Road. This is because as part of the low volumes seal roads program strategy, roads were deliberately constructed within the existing corridor to eliminate the need for land acquisition, which could require compensation and thus inflate the overall project cost. Just to emphasize this, Mr. Speaker, this is an alternative route, international route. We have, when we are done with the process that is ongoing, we want to transfer this road to Kenya. Because of it is a highway now. It's moved to a highway so that it can be constructed to highway standards, but also with proper border post, an alternative border post in the Luakaka-Chwele Road. Mr. Speaker, the leaders of Bungoma, from the governor to the senator to the MPs, have been very particular about it, and I promise them that in the next financial year, we'll find resources under Kenya. First, we'll make sure that transfer will have been done from Kera to Kenya, and then from there we will be able to make sure that we put weighbridge in that section, but also we improve it to Kenya standards. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kathuri, do you have any supplementary questions? Proceed.
That's a long.
Honourable Speaker, my question was on the national pending bills across the two institutions. Mr. Speaker, my concern is the interest that are accruing, especially with Kenya, because as the CS has put it, this is 87 billion pending bills and the interest is 4 billion. So, Mr. Speaker, my concern is that we have so many loans which are dilapidated. And if we are paying this interest, then, Mr. Speaker, this is the money which should be going to maintain such loans as the CS has put it. So, the issue is delayed funding from the exchequer. Mr. Speaker, because we are planning as a country and as a government, my issue was, why is the delay in exchequer release? Because some of these loans, most of them are funded through the exchequer, Mr. Speaker. So what plan maybe if, because the CS is saying it needs 150, 160 billion to clear the pending bills. If we doesn't get them the next 1 year, does it mean that we are going again to 6 billion interest, Mr. Speaker? And the second one was about the maintenance of roads, Mr. Speaker. My issue is we have invested a lot in these roads. And once we fail to maintain, we are losing that investment, Mr. Speaker. Like where I come from, we have a very busy road called Chogoria Marimba Meru Road. This road was built by European Union to support the tea factories across that belt. But, Mr. Speaker, this road is never maintained. There are heaps of soils. Once it rains, there is a lot of soil which piles on that particular road, Mr. Speaker. And I've addressed it. And, Mr. Speaker, even though that we have no money for doing new roads and these other things, Honorable CS, when some of us lied to the ministry requesting for support, you know we have been around for some time, Mr. Speaker, and some of us have no vested interest on what happens when we make our requests. But I want to really request the ministry that even though we are not in the National Assembly, because we are representing people, when we make interventions through the ministry for particular roads, Mr. Speaker, you saw me working on potholes in Meru County because of the Meru-Nairobi Highway, because the road maintenance was poor. So when some of us lied to the ministry requesting for specific interventions, I want to request the ministry on record today that they shouldn't be listening to some of us. We are Hondas, Inchurinchek Hondas. And once I tell you something, as a CS, as a PS, you must know this thing is coming from the kingdom of Meru.
What is your question, Honorable Kathori?
What I was saying is that the CS should try and maintain especially the national highways, Mr. Speaker, and then any interventions that we put across is that those interventions are not coming from me, but from the great people of Meru, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Unfortunately, the Honorable Senator is done. Proceed as CS. If you picked any questions from that long
Mr. Speaker, I share the same concerns with the Honorable Senator and the Deputy Speaker. You see, if you have interest now, I need to add for your record that it is 6 billion in Kera. So you have 6 billion in Kera, 4 billion in Kura, 4 billion in Kena, and 18 million in Kura. Those are interest only. But there is something else that I wish I had added, claims, which we cannot define at the moment, because the contractor is claiming the machines were on site, I need another mobilization money to come there, the fuel prices have changed. So protracted pending bills, like the ones we have done from 2017, 2016, 2017 to now, is causing us problems. Two things. One, because you have the legislative mandate on roads, equal legislative mandate to National Assembly. I think we need to provide a cap similar to in Duplam rule, that even if you are going to ask for interest, it should not be more than twice, on your claims, must not be more than twice the cost of the road. And I'm telling you, Senator, for Meru, I wish I had brought this example here of one contractor who, by going to court, we had paid the contractor up to 8 billion of a bill of 9 billion. The balance, the 8 point something, the balance was about 300 million. But he was awarded by court another extra 3 billion. So I'm asking myself, when a judge is sitting there and awarding an extra 3 billion, where does he think the money comes from? And how are we going to build the roads? So there must be legislative guidance. And I think it will be incumbent upon us as ministry to provide this. Number two, if we were adhering to the procurement law, you see, this is where the problem is. The parliament provides the budget, okay, in the beginning. Then the agency is told, now procure based on that budget. Then towards the end of the year, through supplementary, the budget is reduced. We started this year, for example, development budget at 63. We are now ending at 46. Okay? There's still a gap of 20-something billion shillings. Now, that, for the last 7-8 years, we've been providing 5 billion when the agencies are asking for 100. We provide 100 in the beginning of the financial year, and then we create a gap. That is why we have so many, because that's the question anyone should ask themselves. How come, despite the legislative, procurement law, how come we have this level of pending bills, yet our procurement law says don't procure what you don't have? This is the challenge we have. And as we continue, if there is a big challenge in this government, is to deal with the nearly 700 billion of pending bills in the road sector. And I don't know which formula we will use to sort it in the next 4 years. But I promise, and the promise of this government is to find ways of reducing it significantly so that people can get at least 2,000-3,000 kilometers of the roads completed. On the other issue of maintenance, it's the same. The same situation applies. I said I'll come back with a policy position on how to increase the resources for maintenance. So that then, as we discussed with you, this Chwele Road, for example, Wakaga Road, and the ones in your county like Kipia, all these other roads, under low volume seal. We are negotiating with the National Assembly so that the Constituency Roads Committee can vacate the 10% that is for Kera to come back to maintain those roads to start with. Even if it's not enough, at least we'll salvage the worst roads in the country. If we don't do that, we'll build from zero. Some of the contracts were given 2017. Now the contractor is on a pending bill. He has a pending bill. He's not completed the pending bill. The road. The part that he started with is already finished. So the part that started is finished. The road is not completed. And that's a real problem. Now, Senator, Deputy Speaker, there is no senator under. That was my position as a senator. That was my position as majority leader in this house. It remains my position as a minister. There is no senator who does not have mandate over oversight of any part of a function in the national government in his role of representation of the people of his county. So you shouldn't sound like you are apologetic for raising road issues in your county. You are not. That's why I'm here. If you didn't have the mandate, I would not be here. So the point is that the questions raised by senators or members of National Assembly is treated equally when it comes to responding to the status of the roads. And in my office, it doesn't matter. That is why, you know, Senator, you are in my office. When you came to the office, we look at the roads in Meru. You came, all of you, as leaders of the county, and we looked at it, all of us as leaders of the county. Even a governor raising a question about the road will not be ignored, despite the fact that they don't sit in any House of Parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Nandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I shall take the omnibus of my 3 questions, and I will be very brief and precise with an eye of military marksman. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, question number 3 on the performance of KQ and donation, the answer is not satisfactory to me. So my 2 supplementary questions. 1, can the cabinet minister provide performance acceptance deferred defects that should show performance acceptable technical log with the dates and past log, and leases of the said aircrafts and ownership? Question number 2 on that question supplementary. Mr. Speaker, on the consultants, the CS has strategically omitted the presence of 2 consultants. 1 is the Steer Group and 2 is the famous Polish 5. So the CS should provide that. On question number 2, supplementary question number 2 on Cherargei Airstrip, I will only take 1 supplementary on that. Can the CS confirm that as Cherargei Airstrip as it is in Kericho County, it is only graded? So planes tend to get stuck. Does it mean that you will never put it up to bitumen standards? And finally, on question number 3, question number 1 on supplementary, when is he doing reclassification, redesign and expansion of Eldoret, Musoriat, Kapsabet, Chafakali, Shamakoko and Awasi Road? That is supplementary question number 1 on that final question. And finally, Mr. Speaker, when is the CS doing physical visit to assess deplorable roads conditions that I've mentioned above, and he did mention above, and direct maintenance of these roads before rains begin. Like you, the CS has made more visits to Nandi to attend funerals and other social functions, but has not found it necessary to visit these roads physically and verify. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, keep it brief.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, the question of performance of the airplanes, the Honorable Senator says he's not satisfied. If he's not satisfied, Mr. Speaker, I will ask the owners of the plane so that they can engage with the Senator for satisfaction. Answer, therefore, as to unsatisfaction of the Cabinet Secretary on a private owned plane, I don't think it's in the best interest of the country. The best interest of the country is to ask things that are owned by the agency. So, Mr. Speaker, I will treat it as such. Mr. Speaker, there are other two groups that the Senator referred to. I don't remember. I had Steer Group and one more. Polish 5. Mr. Speaker, I am glad that the Senator is apprised of that matter, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I don't need to provide any other supplementary answer because he already has an extra two companies. He's more aware than myself on that issue, Mr. Speaker. On the third issue, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, CS. Proceed.
On the third issue, Mr. Speaker, of Kericho Airstrip, if the Senator had followed the answer, he asked the same question that I already answered. I answered, Mr. Speaker, that we are in the process of acquiring the land first so that the Kericho Airstrip can be built to levels required of an airstrip in our republic. And Mr. Speaker, His Excellency, none other than His Excellency the President is helping us to speak to Eketera, to negotiate together with our brothers in the lands ministry to negotiate the land. And Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record to thank the Senator of Kericho because the majority leader, why he's not asking this question is because he's in the middle of this discussion and is helping facilitate the discussion to get the land from the Eketera itself. And I appreciate senators who are that proactive, Mr. Speaker, because if he had chosen, he would have possibly, majority leader would have possibly come here with a question. But instead, he came to my office, and we are working together to acquire the land. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of reclassification of Eldoret Nandi roads, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the design is ongoing in terms of widening Eldoret Nandi road. Mr. Speaker, from actually Eldoret to Kapsabet is a bit congested, and particularly as you exit Nairobi, Eldoret from both sides. Mr. Speaker, design is going on from all angles of Eldoret town to see if we can dual the roads. And Mr. Speaker, there is also a bigger, wider program that I explained earlier, which is from Rironi to Mau Summit, that, Mr. Speaker, will facilitate also expanding the roads in this highway. Mr. Speaker, I want to commensurate with Senator Cherargei for losing so many people in this county, and sadly people who are known to me, and which forced me to go for the funerals. So I commensurate with him and his family, and the family of the lost people who lost their lives, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that God can protect as many of my friends as possible so that I don't need to go for funerals in Nandi. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Kisumu.
Mr. Speaker, I have a supplementary question to the Minister. And Mr. Speaker, this will focus on an area he touched on the role of NTSA in the registration of motor vehicles, because in his response he talked about a role that NTSA plays. I want the Minister to clarify to Kenyans on the functioning of the eCitizen platform. Mr. Speaker, in the last few months, there have been complaints in the public regarding the transfer of motor vehicles and logbooks, and I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary will have this occasion to respond to Kenyans, explain to Kenyans whether there's something wrong with the system and when that problem will be fixed. Mr. Speaker, sir, this supplementary question comes in the wake of the Minister visited NTSA in September last year and addressed specific concerns.
Honorable Senator, just ask your question.
Yes.
And let the CS.
Can the Minister tell the public what measures he has taken to ensure that the eCitizen platform that touches on the functions of the NTSA operates without a hitch, so that Kenyans are able to transact easily through this platform and their transactions are complete? Mr. Speaker, this is important, and this is just as I close off.
It is okay.
Yes.
The CS has heard your question.
Yes.
Allow him to respond.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Respond, Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, we have been undertaking a process of data migration from the platform that we used to operate to the eCitizen platform. This has necessitated these delays, and it is true